So what are you seeing at an enterprise level at the moment? Where are the biggest challenges that you're seeing in either the shape of team sizes, how teams are being affected by AI? From a security lens, how is this all playing out? Are we seeing companies have a greater emphasis on hiring security professionals? Are we not at that stage yet?
Starting at your last question, the reason I kind of grinned there was, funnily enough, at a customer security council we ran a little while ago, we actually found that the funding for security or the security teams has either flatlined or started to decrease.
Wow.
Which is really scary and ironic in a way. But I think it kind of shows that that's because all the funds are being redirected into AI projects. Money's just coming from anywhere and everywhere to fund anything that has the word AI in front of it. So when there isn't that understanding of how security and identity is potentially the foundation of that, and we can talk about why I have that opinion later on, but if there's not that real understanding, then you can see why funding is getting pulled from it.
I agree. And sometimes it's just the loudest,
shiniest thing that kind of goes, right? The business says we need to AI, right? And there's that, like I talked about that contention before with the business says we need to AI and we need to do it now. And, your technology teams are kind of going, okay, but how? How can we do it safely? And you want it now. And again, with so many things changing, it just becomes a huge risk.
And with a lot of the media out there as well, everything's about moving so quickly, moving fast, taking advantage of this, not missing the boat. Yeah. And then technology teams and technology professionals I've spoken to, it's a real frustration, is they're being seen as holding the company back. Yes. You're putting limiters on the company. You're not moving fast enough.
You're not moving fast enough. But when something goes wrong, when there's a leak, when there's a breach, it is all your fault.
Correct. So I feel like it's a really challenging situation at the moment because there is a very real need for speed at the moment.
Yes.
But there's an infrastructure, a data, and a security play, the way I sort of look at it.
Yeah.
And without those three set up correctly, throwing AI, essentially it is another tool at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We've had plenty of good tools come before.
Yeah.
It is maybe the most powerful tool that we've experienced, definitely in my lifetime.
Yeah.
From the internet, probably. That's our next big play that's going to fundamentally change businesses, change the way we operate.
Yeah.
But without that underlying infrastructure, the data in the right accessible way, and then also the security lens, we're just throwing another tool at a problem.
Yeah, and look, it's a novel problem and it's really interesting, it's very engaging. So I can kind of see why, and you can get something that feels like a result, a positive result, really quick and on volume. So I think there's the novelty aspect and then in a way, the world of social media of how we have now want immediate gratification. Now it feeds that as well, right? So I can kind of see how it's this self-perpetuating engine to kind of get that, quick results now, fast, and at all costs. Right. But no, you're right. I think without that underlying level of security or thought right there. And I think what's really come down to is when you kind of think of the way that software architectures were before, right? You had the traditional 3-tier, right? You had your experience layer, you had your business layer, and you had your data layer, right? And you could layer it in that way where there's protection between each of them, right? And then is also deterministic of how things flowed up and down and through across those levels. And you could put the right protections between each of those. In many ways, that's all been collapsed, right? Where now your experience level and your logic layer, which is now essentially your foundation models and those LLMs, it's been collapsed into one. So you've now lost that 2 layers of security you could put inside there and filtering, and it now forces a lot of that security to be down at the data layer, which it hasn't really existed at before, at that level of granularity as well. Right. I think that's the thing here is, there's always stats. There's been more data generated in the last year than the last 10 years altogether. There's all these stats that kind of come out. And to be able to have security at that data level, at that granularity, at the rate of change that it kind of changes as well, makes it a really hard problem to solve.
I agree.
Yeah.
Come back to the Security Council meeting that you went to and the cost or the funding coming down. Do you think it will trend back towards we're sort of getting a better understanding, we are now going to have to invest more into security?
So the other thing that came out of that was a little bit shocking as well was breaches are becoming very common, right? And now in some realms, it's the cost of doing business, which is really scary as well. It's well, we're not going to fund for more of it. We'll just put more inside the kitty so that when something goes wrong, we can pay the fine, which is, again, not really the right way that you want things to be going. But in a way, with breaches being so plentiful, there is almost a certain level of apathy out there for it.
And it's becoming more and more difficult to be secure. I think if you have a look at everything that's going on at the moment, you have a look at a really small level, you have a look at OpenClaw, and you have a look at what one individual can do. You put that sort of technology in the hand of people with bad intentions, and you've got you hitting the different pain points or the different data points, different APIs, like thousands, millions, like just more and more attacks.
Yeah.
And you're having a look at people building technology, building software, who don't have the same level of depth of experience that something that has happened in the past, and you've got a two-sided problem.
Yeah, that's right. Well,